On Tech News Today, Apple banned 2 more toxic chemicals from iPhone factories, but is that enough to satisfy workers' rights and environmental groups? Plus, a new app makes it super easy to buy stuff, maybe too easy, and Google's working on an upgrade for Hangouts that makes it more like Facebook Home. Chatheads, anyone? Don't touch that dial if you've got a dial. Tech News Today is next.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This is Tech News Today for Thursday, August 14th, 2014. This episode is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, and other Apple products are worth at Gazelle.com. And by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you'll finally have all your financial life in one place and get a clear view of everything you own. Best of all, it's free. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/TNT. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. Welcome to the show. I'm Mike Elgan. With me today is Jason Howell. That's his French name.
That's right. Not born in France or have anything to do with French.
But he loves French fries and French toast, so we just assume that he's French.
I did live in Montreal for like 6 months.
Did you?
So maybe there's that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like?
Fun, and I didn't know the language very well, and fun and delicious. Really good food in Montreal.
Poutine, what is it called?
Oh, man. Poutine, yeah, you got it.
Speaking of French fries.
And if you have never had it, you need to do it.
I'm going to do it. One of these days, it's one of my dreams is to go to Montreal and eat poutine. Well, Elise Hugh is normally our Thursday co-anchor, and she is off today in some exotic location that it will remain undisclosed. Let's jump right into the news. Apple banned 2 controversial chemicals from part of the manufacturing process for iPhones and other Apple products. Apple environmental head Lisa Jackson posted on a company blog that benzene and N-hexane have been banned in the final assembly factories during the building of Apple products. Alissa Walker is an editor at Gizmodo. I'm sorry, it's Alissa, right? Alissa Walker?
Alissa.
Alissa Walker. Okay, great. You're an editor at Gizmodo. Thank you so much for joining us today on Tech News Today.
Thanks for having me.
So why did Apple ban these chemicals?
Well, I think groups have been after Apple for a long time, as we know, for being more environmentally responsible. And these ones are probably not the most dangerous, but they have been investigated and have been proven to be known carcinogens. So it's good for them to remove them.
And they may not be the most dangerous, but they are among the most written about. They've become famous partly because of Apple's Chinese manufacturing. Now, what are benzene and hexane used for in the manufacturing process?
So benzene is used to clean electronic components, like inside of the phone or the iPad. And then the other one is a little bit more famous, as you said, because it's used to polish the touch screen. And this is the part where I guess it's being exposed to workers the most, and the part where they're kind of inhaling these products in the factories.
Now, as I understand it, N-hexane is something that could be used instead of alcohol, but it dries many times faster than alcohol, and that's why they use it. To what extent do you think is the use of dangerous substances like N-hexane a response to Apple pressure to speed up the manufacturing? In other words, are this and a lot of the abuses that we see in Chinese factories the result of U.S. companies like Apple pressuring them to create more products a lot faster?
Well, it's something that we always say, at Gizmodo, like this is the reason they're not manufacturing these products in the U.S. is because these things would not be allowed to make the manufacturing process go that much faster. So it is a reason that they're able to have this incredible productivity. And we're hoping maybe the shift means that they'll be able to start manufacturing more of these things domestically.
Now, Apple's getting a lot of congratulations, I guess, in the press is one way to put it, for banning these chemicals. But in fact, they're not banned throughout the process. They're only banned in the final assembly. Both these chemicals are going to be used in many component manufacturers' factories, oftentimes very small factories all around China and Asia. Why not ban them throughout the entire process? Would that even be possible for Apple to do you think?
Well, I think, yeah, you're right. They're kind of allowing them in a smaller amounts in an earlier part of the process. But a thing to remember about both of these chemicals is they're found already in your household and probably everywhere in the room that you are in right now, not only in your electronics. These are in things like gasoline, they're in cigarettes, they're in paint. So it's not really like they're ever going to be able to get rid of all of them, but making these steps is the right direction for them.
Now, we started by talking about the criticism, and they've been criticized by China Labor Watch, which is a U.S. organization that looks at labor conditions in China, and Green America, which is a U.S.-based environmental group. So they're both environmental and labor safety groups had been criticizing Apple about this. And another interesting component of this is that Lisa Jackson, who wrote this blog post for Apple and who joined Apple in 2013, used to be the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. So she's a big Washington big shot who Apple hired and brought in to sort of do exactly this kind of thing and figure out how to have a better record in terms of the environment and so on. One other little bit of trivia or tidbit is that something like 1.5 million workers in China are exposed to these chemicals with or without Apple. So it's a widely written about situation all over China. It's just a part of the reality of being a factory worker in China. Now, one last question for you. What else has Apple banned recently? I mean, since Apple launched the iPhone in 2007 until now, they've really banned quite a lot of substances, haven't they?
You are right in that they are making a huge initiative, and bringing on someone like Lisa Jackson has been an incredible move for them. Some of the other things that they've banned are things like arsenic, lead. I mean, these are things that are in a lot of electronics, but they're really taking an industry leader position. And if they can affect this kind of change, then a lot of other companies will follow. So they have really kind of stepped up to the bat. They've been criticized for a very long time. And I think that what they're doing is going to actually make some pretty dramatic change in the industry.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, but first I want to ask you about your gelato obsession. You seem to be super obsessed with gelato. What's the deal with that?
Well, gelato is just one of those things that makes every day better.
It really does, and I was never much of a gelato fan until my wife and I lived in Florence for 3 months. Yeah, Florence,
That's
Italy.
also where I had my love affair. Yeah, I was eating it for every meal for a couple months, and when I was I was maybe a problem, but it didn't seem so at the time.
Yeah, you can't walk 2 blocks in Florence without running into a really awesome gelato on the stand or.
Oh, okay. I just pictured gelatos walking around and running into you.
That happens too.
There are gelatos on each corner, and then there's also a cart in the middle, so it's actually very hard to walk anywhere without being confronted.
Yeah, well, if you're going to be obsessed by something, that's a good one as far as I'm concerned. Alissa Walker writes at gizmodo.com, and you can also find her personal blog at awalkerinla.com, and you can follow her on Twitter at awalkerinla. Thank you so much, Alissa Walker, for joining us on Tech News Today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, in just a sec, we're going to talk about a new iOS-based platform that lets you buy stuff really easily, way too easily maybe. But first I want to tell you about Gazelle. Gazelle is going to buy your used gadget, and you want to sell your gadget to Gazelle because they'll give you good money for something that currently isn't doing you any favors. You've got old phones and tablets lying around in boxes and drawers and in the garage and sort of in various places all around the house. Why not turn that into cash, which you can spend on a shiny new gadget that you can eventually sell back to Gazelle? All you have to do is go to gazelle.com, that's Gazelle.com, choose the device you'd like to sell, indicate its condition, and they'll show you a price. Right now we're looking at an iPhone 5S with 64 gigs locked to Sprint. They'll give you $205 for that device. Now that price, if you continue to go in every month after month and put in that price, the price is going to go down and down and down, especially after the iPhone 6 launches. All these old iPhone prices are going to go down. That's why you need to act now. If you go there now and put in your device and you get a price, that's locked in for 30 days. And I can almost assure you that these prices are all going to, everything goes down in value. That's just the law of the world of used gadgets. And then you get paid fast. You get paid by check. You can get paid by PayPal, which is very convenient, or you can get a 5% additional with an Amazon gift card. That's the option I use because it's like free money. And Gazelle is risk-free. and they've paid more than $170 million to more than 1 million customers. And I say that with my pinky in my mouth like Dr. Evil, 1 million customers. So find out what your iPhone's worth. Take a minute, go to gazelle.com and find out. A startup today launched an iOS-based platform called Spring, which reviewers are saying is like Instagram, but with instant e-commerce. Josh Ong is a U.S. reporter for the Next Web and joins us now. Welcome, Josh.
Hi, Mike.
Now, what is this? What is the Spring platform, and how does it work exactly?
Well, it's a really well-designed mobile app, iPhone only. And what you do is you follow some brands, or you just kind of browse around the platform. And when you're ready to buy something, you just swipe and you buy it. So and the idea is that the brands are posting these products with kind of lifestyle photos instead of product photos. So it looks a lot like the ads you're starting to see on Instagram, but you're able to buy them right from the app.
Now, are these images that you're seeing in the app, are these coming from the companies that are selling them, or are they coming from your friends?
Yeah, they're coming from the companies directly. So so Spring works with brands, and the brands can load either through a back end or kind of through an API, and they decide which products that they choose to post, and then you'll see those in your feed.
Now, a lot of companies like Amazon and Apple and others have gotten flack for super easy buying. Those are mostly related to downloads, but I personally know people who have children who've ordered physical goods from China with their parents' credit card, and then packages show up at the door, and parents are kind of looking at each other saying, "Did you order this?" And so that's become a problem because it's just so easy for people to buy stuff. This is even easier, and you called Spring dangerous for that reason, right? I mean, why is it dangerous to be able to buy things easily?
Well, the goal behind Spring is to take the mobile shopping experience and just make it painless. And I think that's, on one hand, it's great for users, but it's great for brands and not great for my wallet. So the idea is if you're standing in line at the movie theater and you're just flipping through the app and you're like, oh, I want that. You swipe, you buy it, and then you're $400 poorer. So I think I'm not up in arms against it. I think it's a great app, and certainly for people who don't have a shopping problem, I think it's going to be a wonderful place for them to discover new products. If you think you'll go out of control, maybe avoid the app or get some kind of PIN code or something. I don't know. Do what you need to do to protect yourself, because it's dangerous. It's a little rich for my blood right now. It's a lot of designer brands, but I think you'll see that move down market as well. It's not meant to be just high fashion. It's you'll find things like iPhone cases. You'll find shoes. Lots of different types of products, and I think that'll continue to expand.
Whenever there's a new platform, a new kind of app like this, you always kind of wonder what it's like, what that it already exists, so that we can understand it better. So, for example, is this more like the fancy? I've heard it compared to Instagram, or is this more like Chinese messaging apps like WeChat that have fairly recently added the ability to buy things online? Which sort of existing apps would you compare this to most directly?
It reminds me a lot of Goji, actually. There's a lot of curated apps that choose products for you. I think one big difference is this is really trying to work with brands directly, and it actually works so closely with them that several brands are investors in the company, including LVMH, which you might know for Louis Vuitton. So I think what you can look at it as really just this an app that introduces you to direct buying experiences with brands, and to that end, they don't actually handle the inventory. So what they're doing is they'll handle the payment, but it's meant to show up on your credit card as directly from the original merchant, and so they're really just kind of making that connection and not actually doing all the logistics. So that's interesting. It's a little different from some of the more kind of direct sales apps where they're buying stuff in bulk and then selling it back out to you.
Your piece on thenextweb.com said that Spring has more than 100 brands on board, including Warby Parker, Band of Outsiders, which I'm not familiar with, and Hugo Boss. So like you said, these are fairly upscale vendors. Now, who are some of the people behind this app? Who are the entrepreneurs who are launching it?
Well, one of the main chairmen behind Spring is David Tisch, who co-founded Techstars New York. and he's also an angel investor. So he's got quite a bit of experience. And then there's people on the leadership team originally from Beachmint, and it's a pretty experienced team. So this is not you know, some kids in their garage just making an app. I mean, this is a serious endeavor.
Not that there's anything wrong with being a kid in your garage building an app.
Sure.
But,
Yeah.
but now, Josh, you used to be the LA editor for The Next Web, and now you're the U.S. editor. You're still in Los Angeles, right?
I am. I travel around a bit. Today I'm in San Diego, but yeah, now I can. My whole domain is America, so wherever you find me. But I'm based in LA usually. Yes. Today America, tomorrow the world. Josh Ong is at thenextweb.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at Beijing Dao. That's Beijing, like the Chinese capital city, followed by DOU. Thank you so much for joining us, Josh Ong. Thanks for having me. A German blogger named Florian Kirsch claims to have seen and obtained screenshots of an experimental interface for Google Hangouts. The project is called Ultraviolet. Like Facebook Home, which existed for phones, it would put chat heads on top of other pages on a PC desktop while running the Chrome browser. It's a Chrome plugin. Google hasn't announced the product. It's not ready to ship, according to Kirsch. And you know, Jason, this is kind of an interesting product in the sense that everybody hates Facebook Home and Facebook chat heads, but I have the feeling that the reason they hated it is because phone real estate is so limited, and it's really kind of annoying to have, you know, 5% or 10% of your phone screen be taken up by somebody's face, whereas on a desktop, maybe that's a more welcome thing, or maybe people are going to hate it on this as well. What do you think?
I personally, I never hated chat heads. I actually think chat heads makes a lot of sense because, I don't know, I don't feel like it overshadows all of the content, you know, enough of the content on my small screen to make me wish that it wasn't there. And if I don't want it there, I just drag it down to the X. My hope in seeing this is that they end up at least giving you the option on Hangouts for Android to do something like this, because I actually find it kind of useful. And I mean, we're seeing these kind of overlay bubbles, you know, in a lot of other ways, not just chat. We're seeing, you know, on Android, you know, we're seeing it with the Chris Lacey's app, Link Bubble. It's becoming this kind of repetitive thing that we're seeing more and more. Yes, we can owe a lot to Facebook for kind of showing us the way as far as that's concerned. But the fact that Google's considering it speaks to kind of its utility potentially and how useful it actually can be, particularly in mobile. I'm curious to see if I like it as much in the Chrome OS, but I don't see why not. I suppose having a larger screen with it even more out of the way is going to be even better, you know?
I would think so as well. And Kirsch did say that it very well could come to Android, so that is one point of hope.
I'd be surprised if it didn't, if they're pushing it to the Chrome, because there's a lot, you know, Google right now is also very much so between all their products about unification across platforms. So, you know, you could hopefully guess that means that if there's an app that's so predominant on Android, like Hangouts is, as well as on Chrome OS, that they would share similar kind of design paradigms.
Well, there you have it. Jason and I say ship it, Google.
Do it.
But also, while you're at it, fix Hangouts
yeah.
in terms of, like, don't let people from Bangladesh call me at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's the
and
first
finally
thing.
Integrate voice. I realize that's a U.S.-only problem, but
integrate
come
voice.
on.
Yeah, exactly. Integrate Google Voice.
Yes.
And also better integrate SMS so that it's really built into the individual person's account rather than being acting like a totally separate person. First world problems, I guess.
Yeah, but we live in the first world.
That is true. So those are our problems. Well, a member of a Chinese anti-monopoly advisory committee has been fired for taking money from U.S. chipmaker Qualcomm. Zhang Jinzhu is a member of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences and a university professor, and he was accused of taking, quote, huge rewards from Qualcomm, which is the subject of an antitrust investigation in China. Qualcomm denies both the antitrust charges and also denies ever paying Zhang. The Wall Street Journal says Qualcomm hired a U.S. company to provide an economic analysis as part of its defense against the antitrust charges, and Zhang consults for that company. Of course, Qualcomm says we'd never paid them directly, so this is kind of a bogus charge. This all comes in the backdrop of a lot of concern by the European Union and others that China is recently rediscovering antitrust as a way to advantage Chinese companies and disadvantage non-Chinese companies within the Chinese market. So that's something that the European Union is looking at very closely, and it's really an interesting story. Well, in a follow-up, yesterday we told you about a Florida man named Pedro Bravo, who's on trial for killing his roommate. Well, it turns out he's not, the person he is alleged to have killed is not his roommate, but we told you about news reports saying that police found a query in his iPhone's Siri usage history, telling Siri, quote, "I need to hide my roommate," unquote, with Siri offering various options for where to hide the body. After that report, we learned that the story is false. It started with a local TV station website and got picked up by dozens of other news outlets, which tends to happen. And it turned out that the image was found on Bravo's phone, but it's just a photo cached after he viewed it on Facebook. It didn't come from his phone. In fact, he owned an iPhone 4, which doesn't even run Siri. So let's watch a minute from the Bravo trial where all this is made clear. And this is what you're going to hear is a Gainesville police detective on the stand answering questions from the defense attorney about the screenshot.
You indicated States HI came from the camera roll or the saved images folder, you could say, of this iPhone. Is that fair?
It's in the it comes out as images. It's in a Facebook cache is what it's in.
Okay. And so because it's coming from somewhere off the internet or something like that, Facebook's a social networking site accessed by the internet. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
All right. Might that explain why this screen capture indicates an AT&T provider as opposed to Verizon, which is the carrier of the defendant's cell phone?
Correct.
Might that explain, or let me ask you this, do you know what this screen capture is of, what we would call this?
This would be from Siri.
Okay. Was Siri, as a program, was she available on the iPhone 4?
No.
Okay. How could a Siri image appear on an iPhone 4?
If it was, like in this case, was cached from Facebook, it was viewed on Facebook with the phone.
Okay.
Nothing kills a good story like good research.
Yeah, it's kind of important information, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. It was funny while it lasted. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it is not true.
I suppose it's not beyond the shadow of a doubt that this could happen, but apparently not in this case.
It very well could happen, and it probably will eventually. Something like this will happen, given enough people using iPhones and Siri. Well, in just a minute, we're going to give you more interesting news, really interesting news. But first, I want to tell you about Personal Capital. Personal Capital is going to help you save money. It's going to help you grow your money. It's going to help you get control over your money so that you can make sure you have a better future financially speaking. And the way it does that, it brings together all your different financial accounts, your investments, your bank accounts, your 401k accounts, whatever it is you've got, it'll bring them all together into a single view, which you can look at on your tablet, on your phone, on your desktop, your laptop, whatever device you have. And it gives you that intuitive feeling about what's happening with your money, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you can take action on that. And they'll help you take action. One of the coolest ways they help you take action is they support Android Wear. Got another Android Wear story coming up in just a sec, but they support Android Wear. What that means is that if anything happens with your money that you need to be aware of, it'll buzz your wrist, you look at the watch, and there it is, the facts that you need to know about your money. It is your money, and you should keep control of it. The other thing that they'll help you do is save money on the various services that you're already using. You're almost certainly overpaying in fees, in penalties, and all kinds of different ways, and they will show you exactly how to save that money. So not only is Personal Capital free, but they save you money right away. In my case, they saved me money the first day I used it. So there's absolutely no reason not to use Personal Capital. Set up your free account. Go to personalcapital.com/TNT. Personal Capital is free, and it's the smart way to grow your money. And we thank Personal Capital for their support of Tech News Today. We've covered upcoming Motorola products, including the Moto 360 smartwatch, which runs Android Wear and which was demonstrated at Google's Google I/O Developers Conference recently, and also the Moto X Plus One phone. Well, this morning, Motorola invited the press to an event on September 4th in Chicago where these products are likely to be announced, and probably a few other products as well, including a shadily rumored headset of some kind. So we'll see what that is. But September 4th, that's the big Motorola day. And also, if you recall, those of us who went to Google I/O were given a choice between two smartwatches, the Samsung Gear Live and also the LG G Watch, or Gwatch as Jason calls it. And they also promised to send us a Moto 360 watch when it was available. So given that the announcement is almost certainly September 4th, we're likely to see these. And, of course, Jason and or I will review these on Before You Buy, and I'll be showing it off and waving it around right here on this show as soon as I get my greasy little mitts on it.
Might even hear Mike say the words, neener, 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 or something along those lines. Yeah.
You might hear that. You might hear that. Absolutely. Well, in other news, the Twitter account of Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev was hacked yesterday. The hacker immediately started sending tweets pretending to be Medvedev, saying that he was fed up with President Vladimir Putin and that he had decided to quit politics and become a freelance photographer. He tweeted, quote, "I am resigning. I'm embarrassed by the actions of the government. Forgive me," unquote. Oh, man, if only that was true. That would be absolutely hilarious. Apparently, they shut down the account. They got it back under control, and now the tweets are coming from the actual Prime Minister Medvedev. Well, our TNT fan of the day is Adam Olivero in Hanover, Ontario, Canada, who posted this spectacular picture in our Google Plus community. Look at the size of that. See, that's going big with Tech News Today. Look at that. And that is Elise Hugh on the screen, our normal Thursday co-anchor. But what a setup. And then he posted this in the community, and, of course, the community, being full of Tech News Today geeks, launched into a detailed discussion about all the gear on his desk. Yeah, so there it is. How do you watch or listen to TNT? Just take a picture of your setup or yourself and post it on Google+, Twitter, or Facebook using the hashtag HowDoYouWatchTNT, and we'll find it. That is the Tech News Today. You can subscribe to Tech News Today on Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, Feedly, Yahoo, RSS. So many options, and you can choose your favorite way to subscribe at twit.tv/TNT. And you can follow us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV. Join our Google Plus community. Just search Google Plus for Tech News Today. And please send us your thoughts and opinions. Send email to tnt@twit.tv or leave voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW. We might even play it on the air. Also, don't miss our evening newscast, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific tonight and every weeknight right here on the Twit Network. My name is Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.